Okay, y'all just finished up in Acts chapter 1. JJ, you read all of that. Great stuff. Jam, you read the first section, which had 13 verses. I cut you some slack because some of those names were absolutely brutal. And so I'm gonna do a little bit of a bonus study here in the NASB. We are now in the book of Revelation. It's coming up starting tomorrow. Saturday morning reading will be in the book of Revelation. Well, we talked about a lot of things, and I'm not making you all sit with me. We've had church here for right around 50 minutes, and not that we can't do it all day long, and maybe that can be some of the days that we have. But anyway, the point is I'm going to get here. I'm going to read this, and we'll read it in probably in 20 more days whenever we get this in our reading in that sequence. But just to look and to answer some of the questions that you all talked about, I think it goes along with 3 John and Jude. Here we go. It says, Satan bound. Revelation 20, verse 1, Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding the key of the abyss and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Going to highlight that. Lots of discussions about this. And bound him for 1,000 years, and threw him into the abyss, and shut it, and sealed it over him, so that he would not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years were completed. And these things must be released for a short time. Then I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony of Jesus and because of the word of God, and those who did not worship the beast or his image, and had not received the mark on their forehead and their hand, and they came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were completed. So this gets into that all-millennial, premillennial discussions. I think it's interesting. I have a lean. It's not necessarily a salvation question, but anyway. So that's really interesting. The rest of the dead, the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were completed. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is the one who has a part in the first resurrection. Over these, the second death has no power, but they will be priests of God and of Christ, and will reign with him for 1,000 years. Almost certainly points to a premillennial reign, right? I've had many leans of all millennial. But anyway, verse 7, Satan freed and doomed. When the 1,000 years are completed, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for the war. The number of them is like the sand of the seashore. And they came up on the broad plain of the earth. And they came up. I like that. On the broad plain of the earth, and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, and fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are also, and they will be tortured day and night forever and ever. It's a long time. Verse 11, judgment at the throne of God. Then I saw a great white throne, and him who sat upon it, from whose presence earth and heaven fled away, and no place was found for them. So earth and heaven have fled away. They can't even find it. And I saw the dead, and the great and the small, standing before the throne, and the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from the things which were written in the books according to their deeds. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and the death and Hades gave up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every one of them according to their deeds. Apart from Jesus Christ, you are judged according to your deeds. So not purgatory, but it sounds like some people are getting heavier punishment than others. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. The second death is the lake of fire. And if anyone, the first death is hell. That's my understanding. The second death is the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. If you have not accepted Jesus Christ, if your name has not been written in the book of life, you will be cast into the lake of fire forever. Chapter 21, the new heaven and earth. And let me go back. I want to highlight that. If anyone's name was not found and written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Chapter 21, 5 minutes in. Here we go. Then I saw a new heaven. This is what we were looking for. We were at the table, and maybe you guys can hear me. Maybe you can't. I know that y'all are in other rooms. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away. The first heaven and the first earth is now gone. And there is no longer any sea, so there's no longer an ocean. The oceans of the earth. I'm talking about that. They came up upon the broad plain of the earth. There's no longer an ocean. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, made ready as a bride, adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold," this is so cool. And I'm just going to pause this for just a second because I want to look at 1 Corinthians 15:24. This all ties in very, very nicely. It's very cool. Almost there, bear with me. 1 Corinthians 15:24. Before I read this, I want to read that. Before I read that, I want to read this. So here we go, almost there. And here, no, 1 Corinthians. Sorry. 1 Corinthians 15:24. Here we go. Okay. So here's where we're at. I lost it. Okay, yeah. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men." The tabernacle of God is among men, and he will dwell among them, and they shall be his people, and God himself will be among them. The eternal God will be among us, and he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death. There will no longer be any mourning or crying or pain. The first things have passed away. And here we go in 1 Corinthians 15:24. It says this, "Then the end comes when he, Jesus, hands over the kingdom to the God and Father, when he has abolished all rule and authority and power, for he must reign, Jesus, until he has put all his enemies under his feet." This gets back and forth between the Father and the Son. The last enemy that will be abolished is death. Verse 27, "For he has put all things in subjection under his feet." Yahweh to Jesus. But when he says all things are put in subjection, it is evident he is expected who put all things in subjection to him. When all things are subjected to him, then the Son himself also will be subjected to the one who subjected all things to him, so that God may be all in all. This is so that the fullness of God will be among us. In verse 5, back Revelation 21:5, "And he who sits on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. And he said, Write, for these words are faithful and true. Then he said to me, It is done. I am Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give to the one who thirsts from the spring of the water of the life without cost. He who overcomes will inherit these things." We must overcome. "He who overcomes will inherit these things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son." We will be his children. But for the cowardly, let us not have fear. It says, "For the cowardly and unbelieving and abominable, murderers and immoral persons and sorcerers and idolaters, all liars, their part will be in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death." We can't be cowardly. We have to have such a boldness of faith. We can't fear death. We can't fear anything. Quit having a fear about us. And I'm talking about me, not necessarily people getting into a fight or anything like that, but fear and lacking in faith over here. "But for the cowardly or going back, I will be his God, and he will be my son. He who overcomes will inherit these things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But the cowardly and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and immoral persons, we read about that today. These immoral persons, and there are many persons and sorcerers and idolaters and liars, these part will be in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. The one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls full of the 7 last plagues came and spoke with me, saying, Come here, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. Verse 10, the New Jerusalem. And he carried me away in the Spirit. Again, this is John. This is the brother of James, the Boanerges, not James, the half-brother of Jesus. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the holy city Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. Her brilliance was like a very costly stone, as a stone of crystal, clear jasper. It had a great and high wall with 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names were written on them, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel. So we've got Judah, Joseph, Benjamin. I can't think of others, but these are the sons of Jacob. There were 3 gates on the east, and 3 gates on the north, and 3 gates on the south, and 3 gates on the west. And the wall of the city had 12 foundation stones, and on them were the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. The one who spoke with me had a gold measuring rod to measure the city and its gate and its wall. The city is laid out as a square, and its length is as great as the width. And he measured the city with the rod 1,500 miles. 1,500 miles. Its length and width and height are equal. And he measured its walls 72 yards according to the human measurements, which are also angelic measurements. The material of the wall was jasper, and the city was pure gold, like clear glass. The foundation stones of the city wall were adorned with every kind of precious stone. The first foundation stone was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, and the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, the 12th amethyst, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each one of the gates was a single pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. I saw... What is that? Okay.